Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say you need to really give yourself a round of applause just to work through the hymn. If it was not Ron's music, it would have been really painful. I would say that, which is okay because sometimes that's how life is, you know? Sometimes, things are not the best where you want them to be, but you have to work through them. And that is okay because I was struggling myself. But if it weren't for the music, it would have been
That's right.
even more excruciating. But the good part is, somewhere within my heart, there was a little smiling boy just looking at everybody, just going through that motion. Which is okay because this life is such. Life is such. As I open the conversation with the smiling faces that are in front of me, I just wanted to say I've been working through some aspect of my own thought process, and it touches into prayer. And I'm sure everybody in this room has prayed at some point in their life. Some point in last 6 years, some point in last year, some point in last 6 months. Maybe today, this morning. Some sort of prayer, some sort of plea that has went out from all of us. I may have been about 9 or 10, and in our household, praying was like a chore. And it was sort of a discipline that my mother wanted for all of us. And she would not just tell us to do it, but she would be a part of that discipline routine herself. We had to do our prayers, reading of the Bible, and etc., as I was born in a Methodist religion. But that was the choice that she took upon herself to make it a part of us, to sit in some form of place of reverence, place of quietness, forget about the play, the homework, the food, etc., just to sit there for a few minutes. And we would read as a family. And then somebody got appointed to pray. And that just sort of brought in a practice between all of us to just sit in that space of reverence. But as time went on, and the sense of slight maturity set in, and one day I was praying in my living room, and I was not at the best place for whatever was going on in my school and my sports activities and my academics. I was not the healthiest, I would say. And I was upset because I was praying for all these to-do lists for God. It was like, I want this, I want this, I want this, and why am I not in this class? Why this coach is not giving me a list on my football team? I was going through the list, and then all of a sudden it occurred to me, is God, or whatever the name is for you, is He only responsible for all the good things in my life? Who takes the credit for not the great things? And why does it become my responsibility to take credit for all that has not really gone right in my life? Why can't I give that to God as well? Because if I am created as a spark of God's essence, anything that goes within me, good, bad, indifferent, I think I can share that with God, not just the A grades and the good scores and the best achievements. No, I can share everything with God. I was probably maybe 12 years old at that point, and I was just like, and that thought came and went, but it changed something within my brain, because I would pray to God for everything. I would give Him my credit for giving me pain and suffering. If I got hurt playing sports, or if I was jumping a 6-foot wall, knowing I shouldn't, and I got hurt, I would still say, thanks for giving me that experience, thanks for giving me the pain, it tells me something. I should try to jump better next time so that I don't get hurt. I would make it up so that I created a relationship with my praying system within myself. And as I grew old, those memories just faded away because new life was happening. I was definitely not going in reverse, I was going in the forward motion. And I recognized that my praying changed, the way I prayed changed, the way I would receive the affirmations and confirmations from God through those prayers. Even that was changing. Something was evolving within myself. And I'm sure each and every one of you in this room have your own relationship with your own prayers. How many times, you don't have to raise your hands or acknowledge, how many times you have really prayed for a situation or an event that you knew you were not praying for the highest and the best? Isn't that the reality of life? Isn't that the truth that not all the time, even though when we are surrendering to God's essence, we are holding our highest and best in that time period? But as life went on, my prayers have sort of become my breath. They go in and out of my breath. I don't find myself sitting still and praying for something. I feel I am well connected within my own practice in there. But what about you? How your life is? What are you creating within yourself? Even in this time and space, when you're sitting here, where is your mind-body connection? Where is your heart and soul connection? Where is that, all that coming up? I know I have been through a lot of changes in the last 6-7 years. But I have found myself that my prayers do come forward. Sometimes my thoughts just jump in front of me. They just give me a rude awakening. Because those thoughts were mine at some point. I have to accept my reality. Now as I reflect on this, I just want to reflect on some of our pioneers that are also not only just spiritualist beings or mediums, but they are healing mediums. They're healers. There are lots of us here. How many of us have surrendered situations for others in prayer, holding them in the highest energies, bringing about miraculous results forward, and still not wanting to take credit for it? But among so many that have prayed for this situation, you were a fragment of that journey. As Reverend Jeannie was reading this bio for me, I glanced over it. I said, that's too long, it needs to be short. But that's a place that I've always felt that I try not to take credit for my accomplishments, because I keep surrendering it back to God. I mean, you put me in that place of achievement. I was just there. However, what I'm recognizing is we must all acknowledge ourselves for our accomplishments. Each and every one of them. If you have done anything that is remarkable, that is worth talking about, that's worth praising about, take credit for it. Take ownership of that. But to have a balance and create the natural balance in life, please have the courage to take credit for things that you know you have done that were not the highest and the best. Take ownership, whatever that is. By taking ownership, you or anyone would recognize it brings a sense of awareness that is unlikely, that is nowhere to be found. No second voice or a second person can give you that sense of aha within yourself, of receiving that sense of ownership. You know, we are all human, having a human/spiritual experience. And within that human-spiritual balance, we are bound to make some choices that are not the greatest. But you have to understand, when you go through the lens of regret, when you go through the lens of, oh my goodness, allow yourself to just visualize it, view it, understand it, take the lesson from it, and carry on. A lot of us hold ourselves hostage to things that really have no meaning at this point in our lives, other than they are just a memory, just a lesson. That's about it. So releasing through the power of prayer and understanding that you can give credit to God for any unfavorable, unwanted circumstances that you may be having right now. and turning it over to its power to bring forth the change, the betterment, the improvement that you're seeking. No matter what it is, on a physical level, emotional, mental, spiritual, you are connected to the divine essence of God that is undeniably the greatest of all connections there is. Right now, we are so many of us in this room, we are all connected by the natural law of one, that we are all connected through energy, through frequency, through power of thought in this moment, through power of observation, power of reflection. We are all connecting. The words that I'm bringing forward is stimulating some parts of your frequency that are allowing you to connect with your own self, but yet we are all connected through the string of consciousness. Talking about string of consciousness, when was the last time anybody hugged a tree? I just did myself. And you know that movie Avatar that came a few years ago? I mean, I just felt like one of those blue people, purple people, just having this great experience. And we were made to do this through the journey of understanding how the law of one works, that we are all connected. There's vibration in each and everything, animate or inanimate, that we can tune into. And that object, that energy can tune into us at the same time. It also brings about grounding. It brings about wholesomeness. It brings about neutrality within our negative, positive ions that goes in our physical space. So if you have not hugged a tree in a long time, please feel free to do today or the next week, whenever you feel it appropriate for yourself. But when you do that, allow yourself to surrender into that connection of oneness with the nature, the divine that is living in there, the God essence that plant, animal, tree, whatever that is holding within itself. I had this profound awareness that I'm no different than that. And that tree was breathing just like I was breathing. It was just a beautiful, simple, humbling experience in that journey. But there's communication, the best of all. If you listen to it, if you're attentive, if you're close to your own self, you would listen to the vibration and frequency of communication. There's so much going on that is hard to explain in simple human words, because it's more on a feeling, it's more on an emotional level, that you would feel the impulses that is hard to explain. But that's my experience. You will have your own unique experience. Also, what we have learned in our modern day life is life of parallels. Am I living the same way Joe Smith is living? Or do I have to match what I need in my life as to what somebody else has in their life? And that can be motivational at times, but also it can be very captivating and very pinning down feeling, because you are trapped. You allow yourself through the lens of entrapment that says, ooh, I'm not that. How about just be you in the channel of life, and those parallels will come so close that you will literally become one with it. You will find that parallel to be a motivating factor, an inspiring factor, than just being always competing with something next to you. As our growth happens through the human form, as we age through our processes, there was one time, long time ago, I'm not sure if this was my father or if this was somebody else in my family, said, I really wonder why older people turn to religion or to the God philosophy. If they have to really be so mindful that they can do it bite-sized pieces throughout their life, it would be so much more easier than they can use all that time to spend reading and going to churches and going to places. They don't really have to do that. They have so much more time to just be who they are. And that sort of got stashed away in my subconscious. And as I grew in my own spirituality, I just realized, yeah, if I am one with God at all times if I'm one with everybody that is around me all the time? I mean, that's the best sanctuary I can create for myself. That's the best temple, the reverent space I can create for myself. And I inspire each and every one of you to think through that lens. It doesn't have to be identical to what my experience is, but you have the opportunity to create your own divine experience, your own sacred experience in this time and space. What you choose creates and shapes and molds what your experience is going to come about to be. I was reading a book I just received. It's called Echoes. It's worth recommending to all that are on self-discovery journey. It has mentions of spiritualists, pioneers, philosophers, mediums, and healers from the past, and there's the wisdom that they created within us. And here somewhere in these chapters there's one sentence that says, what you pray for, you become that. So as I take our thought back into the praying through the consciousness, the oneness with everything that there is, when we send out the prayer, we become part of that prayer. We become inseparable with that experience, good, bad, indifferent. It can take you down, spiraling down, or it could spiral you up into the greatness of that experience. But once we send out the prayer, once we send out a thought, we are part of that journey. We become a part of that journey. What are you willing to do when you pray? Is mindfulness necessary when we pray? The words that we choose while we pray, are those words important? Those words, those thoughts are what creates the frequency of vibration to achieve the success within the praying philosophy. The words have power. They stimulate the thought, and this thought leads to the next etheric layer of our existence. And everything beyond that point just becomes an experience. Driving this morning with Reverend Audrey, we were just talking about our friend's experience, and whenever this friend speaks out loud, belches out what they are needing and wanting in their lives, it just about come close to fruition just in a matter of time. I've had those experiences myself. And as I was pondering upon my inspiration this morning, I was wanting to understand what was going on in the moment of that praying when the results were just remarkable. Because I'm sure we have all have prayed, and not every prayer has come forward. That's just the reality of it. But why those moments of achievement through prayers have come forward? Where was the mind-body continuum was happening? And within that realization, I have been inspired to bring it forward, that when we are totally not vested in the outcome of the prayer is when those miracles happen. When there is an expectation of a desired result at the end of the prayer, or through the prayer, that's where the catch-22 begins. But when we are praying, we don't hold any seed of interest within that, just a prayer. And within that moment of inspiration, I was also being led, when we pray through love and compassion, it would never fail to bring about results. But when we pray through the intent of reaching a goal or result, it always sort of drags before it gives us any result. But when we are doing our praying through the lens of love, unconditional love, and unconditional compassion, our results will come forward. Undeniably, they will come forward. And within that thought, I was just going, tumbling like a tumbleweed. I was just like, ooh, well, maybe I didn't get that result because I had a sense of attachment within the result. And that attachment within our praying is where I feel is the fine line between finding results through prayer or not. So perhaps as my journey evolves, I know when I will be sitting down to pray for a situation, an experience for myself or anybody, I am pretty sure I will be vigilant to pray through unconditional love and compassion. The oneness within the energy of God and each and every one of us. Please allow yourself to be inspired that your prayers and your words are very powerful. Whatever you pray, you become one with that experience. Maybe the thoughtfulness within your prayers, if you're really wanting to be one with that experience that you're putting out there, please investigate that thought. Take it within yourself to be not attached, but to see everything through the eyes of love, as you sit and pray for yourself, or loved ones, or any situation around you. Please inspire yourself to pray. Thank you.